But the underlying theme in it is obviously this resistance, that we all deal with, whether we're creative, whether we're an entrepreneur, or whether we're just an everyday citizen. So, can you kind of talk about what is resistance, and where did you kind of find this concept? I know it's not I don't think you would take credit for coming up with the idea of resistance, but where did it really come from for you, and then what is resistance when you talk about it in the book?
Let me turn this back. I will answer that, Frank, but let me turn it back to you. Why don't you tell me what resistance is in your life?
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking with somebody earlier today, a very close friend of mine, and he's a fan of the show, so he'll probably hear this and he'll be nodding as I say this. I told you I was somewhat starstruck with getting you on here today. I deal with this every single week. I always show up a few minutes early, and make sure the lights are set up, make sure that the mic is in the proper place. Am I standing in between the two photos? Does everything look good? Are there boogers hanging out of my nose? But there's always this underlying thought in my head, like, I kind of hope the person doesn't show up. Like,
Ah, really? Wow.
um, not because I don't want to do the conversation, but like almost as a way of like who am I, to have these conversations? Who am I to, try to put this out in the world? I mean, these are true, real thoughts that I deal with every single week. So I think it's, I think it's those thoughts. I think it's that internal doubt, that struggle that we all deal with. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a few different businesses. None of them are easy. None of them just kind of succeed without testing. And I'm in the marketing space, so test, tweak, test, convert. All this stuff. So I think it's just that doubt of like like why am I doing this? Like, I see so and so. I got a lot of friends that are successful both in the fitness space and in the podcasting space. And then obviously the world that we live in, you can see anybody's life at the click of a button. So everybody's the highlight reel of social media. So I think the comparison is a form of resistance. But for me, it's really that underlying doubt, because I have failed a lot in my life, and I like we were talking about before. Like, I don't come from just a lineage of uh, winning. Like, it's just so I've dealt with it my
Huh?
entire life. So I know there's a lot of me rambling there, but I hope I made something
That
clear in
helps.
in what I said.
I would say, let me see if I can define resistance with a capital R. One of the things is if you're a writer and you sit down to this thing in the morning, you can feel, and looking at a blank screen, right, or a blank page, you can feel a force radiating off that keyboard in your face that's trying to push you away. Just like if you go to the gym and you stand before the squat rack, you can feel a force radiating off the squat rack saying, well, maybe I should go get a cheeseburger and not actually try to lift this thing. And it's, we have opponents and things that we have to fight against in the real world, but resistance is
Mhm.
all in here. It's completely self-contained, and it's our own uh, self-sabotage. Like when you say, "I hope the guest doesn't show up for the podcast," I have the same sort of thing. Gee, I hope something happens. I don't have to actually sit down and work today. Um, but resistance also takes the form of, as you were saying, Frank, of self-doubt. Of the voice that you hear in your head that says, who are you to try to do this thing, this dream that you have, this business you want to start, this book you want to write, this movie you want to write? Who are you? It's been done a million times before, way better than you can do it. You're too old, you're too young, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too much of a slob. Your mother was right about you. Your father said you were a bum. They were all completely right. That kind of voice that fills you with doubt and will try to knock you off your stride to do this. The other aspect of resistance is distractions and shadow careers and addictions. In other words, other avenues that you could go down, other rabbit holes you could go down rather than doing your actual work. And so for me, when I finally gave this force a name, resistance with a capital R, that was a breakthrough for me to be able to overcome it. Well, then when I would sort of hear this voice in my head, instead of believing that it was me having those thoughts, I said, oh, that's not me. That's resistance. That's this force. That's this thing that's there for everybody. And all I have to do is get past it. You know, I just have to sit down and do my work and it'll go away. But it never goes away day to day. You know, every morning it's there. And so, anyway, that's my definition of
No,
resistance.
no,
What I
it's
would say is to anybody, I think this is an absolute truism to everyone in the world. Before you can do whatever your dream is, you got to find some way to overcome that force. That force will always be there. It's in everybody's head, and you got to find some trick, some mental mindset that'll allow you to work in spite of it.